loved the fresh cream and the butter, and he seemed to have good relationships with all of his extended family. He and my mom attended a reunion when she was pregnant with me, and then I went to another reunion during college, planning to meet you all there, but I think your rig broke down, Joe, and you never made it to Springfield. Everyone loved Jim. Is that your rig that broke down? Okay. I was born in 1965, she writes. And when I was only a couple of years old, we took a road trip to visit Grandpa Ralph Kincaid and other family members. I got my first pink horsey with wheels on this trip. Pop used to put me in a backpack and bike us over to Fremont Park to do a little fishing. He would sit on the dock and fish my line, jerking it every once in a while to make me think that I had a fish. Once I caught one, and he laughed and laughed, and he had a sense of humor, and he was always teasing. Pop used to drive me and some of the other kids to preschool in his old Plymouth. Us girls would stand behind the seat, totally unacceptable these days, she says. We would holler and scream as he pretended to be out of control driving down that steep driveway. He always liked to sing in the car. He would carry a tape recorder, and I remember him encouraging me to sing songs. I did not inherit Jim's musical abilities. He used to love listening back to me singing There's Bugs in the Beans. Pop inspired my love for horses, and when I was little, we would take donkey rides in the canals in Riverside County. He bought me my donkey named Natalie, and I just loved her. Pop also introduced me to fast sportive horse, and I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Jimicana? Close enough? He entered me into competition before I knew what I was doing, but I had a great time and moused the horse, and I finished fourth. Not bad for a beginner with no experience. He continued to support my love for riding horses, and he bought me my first Primo, a beautiful bay Arabian. Jim and Darlene used to take us to Lake Paris and taught us to water ski there. We all took a camper trip back east, and along the way we visited Aunt Gina and Bill in Colorado, and we went to Grandpa Erlo Lake House. Jim always liked to expose us to new things. He did more fishing on these trips. We even learned how to catch our own night crawlers before we went, and he loved the outdoors. My most precious memories are Pop singing to me or a group, and he loved the guitar. I always marveled when he played the 12-string. He had so many songs I loved, including She's a Lady, Puff the Magic Dragon, Love on a Merry-Go-Round, The Auctioneer and the Cowboy, The Continental Suit, just to name a few. I loved attending any holiday school functions or parties where he was performing. He loved the Christmas carols. The toy trains and all the traditional songs were great. And Pop would sing about a song requested, about any song requested, and if it had a good story, all the better. He also liked the light-hearted songs that made people laugh, such as Three Old Ladies Locked in the Lavatory. He always made a funny face and white eyes when he said the punchlines and picked someone in the audience to focus his attention to. At my high school graduation, I got a flashlight, as he knew it would be dark in the big world, and a beautiful hope chest with a heartfelt poem that Pop wrote me. He was good with the written word. Pop's first grandchild, Kaylee, was born on July 27, 1997. She was premature, a little girl weighing only 1 pound 13 ounces. He brought us all closer together, and when I was experiencing some challenging times as a new mom and a divorcee, Pop immediately dropped all that he had going on and spent time with Kaylee and I to make sure that we were safe. He loved his kids and his grandkids beyond belief, and I will always remember his love, his music, family, friends. I know that he was the most happy being around those that he loved, singing and playing the guitar. With love, your daughter, Stacy. I'm going to ask Joe to come up and give you some final thoughts, and after that, we'll be dismissed.
Hope I didn't bite off more than I can chew here today, but first off, on behalf of my mom and the family, I just want to say thank you so much for all the cards, prayers, phone calls, and thank you so much to all the church members that are all here helping with the service today. Without them, it would have been possible without Steve. Never having to do something like this before, you don't realize how much work goes into it. And so before I forget, I want to make sure to remind everybody to close to him in his later years, I felt I should try and get up at least say a couple things. So I'm going to try to joke my way through it the best I can. Maybe make a couple jokes. It would help if you laughed and kind of lightened the mood a little bit. And you guys are really making it tough up here, because it would have been a lot easier if a lot less people had shown up. But it's really great to see how many people Bob touched and influenced in some way throughout his life. First off, you should make no mistake about it. This should be a day of celebration for us, and his family. He's been sick for so long. A lot of pain. And even though it's tough for us to deal with him being gone, he's in such a better place now. He's pain-free. One of his more common sayings that he used to tell me as he got closer to the end, he was making his peace with God, as he would say. He would say, no matter how hard we try, there ain't any of us getting out of here alive. And you can't fight logic like that, which was another one of his sayings. And since we're on the subject of classic pop phrases, there was one that always drove me nuts, and if we ever ran into a problem at work, he would always tell me, don't tell me about the storm, just bring the ship in. And I guess that was his way of building character, right? That I was going to sink or swim, and I guess ultimately I did bring the ship in. There's one sitting in his backyard right now. I was talking with Eric last night, and we're the only rednecks in Woodcrest with not only cars on blocks, but we have a sailboat on blocks too. I've been carrying around his phone in my pocket for the last week. Primarily so I could call friends and family, the numbers I didn't have. It still, when I was making phone calls, still kind of smells like him, by the way. Him and that big beard, which he swore he was growing out in honor of Duck Dynasty. He loved that show. He loved the dad on that show. He always mentioned he loved, at the end of every show, they always sat down and prayed around the dinner table. And he said a lot of shows these days are lacking of that. So. But just for old time's sake, I hit the speed dial on his phone, and my phone rang. Johnny Cash ringtone, of course, popped up, and his nickname popped up as well. That I believe was coined by my older brother Jason, and us boys used to always commonly refer to him as the White House. Never to his face, of course. We were smarter than that. And I think the meaning behind it, in talking with Steve, the meaning behind that was, to us, he was larger than life, in more ways than one. And as the White House, he made the rules. And if you were going to live under his roof, life would be a lot easier if you lived by him. He was a tough man to live with, and speaking from experience, he was an even tougher man to work with. But he was always honest and fair, and he only expected the same in return. But anyways, back to the phone. In making all of my calls, everyone I spoke to, all the emails I got, the texts that came in, everybody's fondest memories of Big Jim were always him working, around a campfire, working a crowd around a campfire, or singing at some school function for my mom, teacher friends, any school we went to. Most everywhere he was invited, they always said, "Don't forget your guitar." You can forget everybody else with the little family, just make sure you show up and bring the guitar. I think Christmas was probably his favorite time of year. Some of his favorite songs to sing were Christmas carols. He religiously sang every year at Bobby Creech's Christmas party, and was also very active in raising money for an abused children's Christmas fund. Put that on every year. One of our family's favorite songs, and I've done my best to cue up some music. One of our family's favorite songs was called Little Toy Trains, as Steve mentioned, and he used to sing it to us as kids. And since I didn't believe it would be a proper Jim send-off about at least a few of his songs, I want to play at least a couple for you. If you could play the first one.
Well, it's not ridiculous playing this tape in the middle of July on a Christmas song and stuff. Little toy trains, little toy tracks, little boys' toys come from sight, carried by hand, dressed in white and red. Little boy, don't you think it's time to go to bed? Close your eyes, listen to the skies. All is found, all is well. Soon you'll hear Chris Kendall and jingle bells. Bring little toy trains, little toy tracks, little boys' toys coming from sight, carried by man, dressed in white and red. Little boy, don't you think it's time for bed? Little toy trains, little toy tracks, little boys' toys coming from a sight, carried by man, dressed in white and red. Little boy, don't you think it's time to go to bed? Little boy, don't you think it's time to go to bed?
And Pop sure loved his tearjerkers, the songs. He'd sing quite a few of them every night. But there were also some of his classics that were a little more lighthearted. As kids, I remember always singing Old MacDonald. Somebody mentioned it the other day. The Muscle in My Arm was one of his favorites too. I think he did that a lot with the kids at the school. Other lighthearted campfire favorites included Grandma's Feather Bed, which could hold 8 kids and 4 hound dogs and a pig that we stole from the shed. The Hawaiian Lay song, Your Cheating Heart. The Mermaid song about the sailor who met a mermaid but then fell in love with her sister. And then one of Stacy's favorites, of course, was 3 Old Ladies Locked in the Lavatory. But there was always that one that was not only his favorite, everyone else's favorite as well, and that was, of course, The Auctioneer. He used to tell me he always preferred to finish a set or finish the night off with it because, it's a hard and fast song, and his fingers would be killing him by the time he was done playing it, and he didn't want to play anymore. And amazingly, last week, digging through all of his well-organized merchandise that he had. In the bottom of one of his drawers, found an unmarked tape in an unmarked case, and it had his full set at the Brandon 1975. And he always told me that was his crowning achievement. And of course, in that in that set for the night. You know, he worked in the auctioneer, and so as was his custom, to send the night off with the auctioneer, I think it's only fitting that we send him off in the same way. We love you, Pop.
I'm at 25, but give me 30 now. There was a boy in Arkansas who wouldn't listen to his mom, and she told him that he should go to school. He'd sneak away in the afternoon, make a little walking, and pretty soon he'd find himself at the local auction bar. Well, he stopped and listened carefully, and pretty soon he began to see how the auctioneer talked so rapidly. He said, "Oh my, it's true, that when I got learned that auction grind, I'll make my mark be an auctioneer. $45 bill and a $30 bill, give me 30, make it 30, get it on my $30, give me 30, who'll be a $30 bill? Yeah, $30 bill and a $35, make it 35, and a 35, make it 35, who'll bid it at a $35 bill? Thank you." As time went on, he did his best, and all could see he didn't jest. He practiced calling bids both night and day. And his pals would find him behind the barn, just working up an awful storm, trying to imitate the auctioneer. He said, "Son, there's one thing we can't stand, to have a mediocre man going down to town without good name. I'll send you off to auction school, and then you be nobody's fool. You can take your place among the best. $35 bill and $40 bill, give me 40, make it 40, give me $40, give me 40, here's a bit of $40 bill. Yeah, $40 bill and 45, make it 45, minute of 45, give me the 45, go bid it at a $45 bill. He came back home from auction school, and he really did, and he played it cool. He came back home a full-fledged auctioneer. And the people came from miles around just to hear him make his happy sound. Fill the hearts of his friends with happy cheers. Well, his flame went out from shore to shore. He had all he could do and more. Had to buy a plane to get around. But now he's topsing all the land. Let's pause and give that man a hand. He's the best of all the auctioneers. $45 bill and a $50 bill. Give me 50, make it 50, $50, $50, give me 50, to the bill, $50 bill. Yeah, $50 bill and a 55, make it 55, minute of 55, give it a 55, who bid it at a $55 bill? $45 bill and a $50, 50, give me 50, make it 50, $50, give me 50, who's the bid a $50 bill? Yeah, $50 bill and a 55, make it 55, minute of 55, give it a 55, who will bid it at a $55 bill? Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be right back.
As a kid from Missouri, that is very hard to do. I tried doing it all my early life, and you can't do that very well. What a wonderful, just loving memorial for Jim. If you'd like to make your way up to see the family here on your way out, we can go out these doors. Is that right? Whoever's in charge of that? Okay. Make your way out this door. So if the family could, if we can keep them here, we'll start with the back rows and just kind of make your way up here one side and then the other, and make our way out to my left. Stay for food, please. Thank you. We've got quite a crowd here, so we're going to ask you beans are still warm in the back as well.